It's Wednesday evening. You're listening to Mystic Moon Cafe with Wendy Schindler and Travis Short. Every week, we will interview guests that are experts in various fields of the supernatural, paranormal, unexplained, and esoteric. So sit back and let us take you on a journey to educate, enlighten, and entertain as we broaden your horizons. Now, here's your hosts, Wendy Schindler and Travis Short. You're listening to Mystic Moon Cafe. The views and opinions expressed by guests do not necessarily reflect those of the hosts, the network, or our sponsors.
Turn your radio up, everybody around. Yeah, we'll tap you right into that bang your head sound. Bring it off, no need for aggravation. Wake up, little girl, I need you now. I'm looking for a one-on-one relationship. Yeah, she's so fine.
And that was Shaman's Harvest. Turn it up. I hope that got everyone in the mood for the show this evening, and it'll be a fun and lively one as our wonderful returning guest June Antoinette Nixon, the fabulous Miss Junebug, is joining us once again, and that's always fun. We always have a lot of fun. We'll have EVPs the second half of the show, and well, here they are, Travis and June.
I was going to say strong penicillin for EVPs. That you have to get rid of. You have to nip that in the bud.
Exactly. No, those are STDs, Travis.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Yeah, so we do have to discern those two things, because if you're wanting to get an EVP, it might be a totally different thing with you.
Well, as many brothels as you've been in, June. I mean,
yes, that is true.
We have to be on our toes, among other things.
I want to Lysol all of those places so badly.
Oh Jesus! Like Lysol would do any good.
I know.
Got to be bleach and burning, bleach and fire.
maybe a bath.
Maybe if napalm made Lysol, or Lysol made napalm. I don't know. Maybe
we could make some napalm.
Yeah,
it's true.
I know how. I have the recipe.
That does not surprise me.
A lot of my cooking has been compared to napalm, so I might have the same recipe, but it could be in the form of a cake.
Wow, okay, yeah.
Overnight guest wake up going, I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
Yeah, that's it. Must be cooking breakfast.
Yeah.
Yum.
Oh, it's very sad. So,
No.
Travis,
Yes.
how are you doing?
Damn, you make it. I don't know. Is there something I need to know, June?
No, I
bought the cemetery plot for you.
What are people not telling me?
You just sound very, very tired tonight.
Well, Wednesdays are my long day. I'm out of here by like 6:45 in the morning. Do the morning show. Do my management stuff there at the radio station. Drive an hour and 40 back. Trying to grab a quick bite to eat, shower, and then we do this show till 11 o'clock. So it's a very long day. And today apparently is the day of cancellations, because my morning guest on my talk show there at the radio station canceled on this day. He just actually didn't cancel. He just didn't show. I know. Well, he's a lawyer and a senator, so I was I was really prepared for that to happen. So what we did was we went into the archives and we pulled in lieu of what was going on in Charlottesville, Virginia this past weekend, and all of the white supremacy, neo-Nazi crap. We pulled the segment that we did back on April 26th when Matthew Heimbach, who was one of the organizers of the Charlottesville fiasco, organized a white supremacist rally there in eastern Kentucky. So we played that again and talked to one of the counter protesters, and just we ran that episode again because now Heimbach and Kessler and then the other, I forgot the other one's name. They are now converging on Lexington, Kentucky in a couple of weeks, where Lexington is getting ready to remove some Civil War statues. So yeah, it's just been a long day. It's been a long week. It's. I keep going. It's Hump Day. Shit, Hump Day. Really? I mean, it's like it seems like it should be Friday already.
It's almost.
It's not.
Almost. It's going to be. Hopefully.
I hear you. So, but that's all. Yeah, just tired. Just a little tired. But how about Windy Lady?
Yes,
What's going on?
How are you doing,
What's going on with Windy?
Well, more storms in the area. These could actually affect Carly as well. I know she had some in the area as well, but I think they've moved on out. Probably your direction. They came up from the southwest this time, though. So, but my shoulder is telling my weather shoulder is telling me that it might be crippling.
Ooh.
Yeah,
sound good.
Not at all. Yeah,
that could be very, very bad.
It could be, but then again, who knows?
Yeah, the weather here has been really amazing the last few days. Of course, you know, for us, it was really hot for over like almost 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And for us, really hot is usually over 80. But the last 2 weeks, it has been over 90. And most people in Seattle do not have air conditioning. So it was kind of a nightmare for a little bit, but now we're getting a reprieve. And I haven't really looked at the future forecast to see how everything is going to be. But we had our first rainfall in over like 56 days, I think. I think it was 50 something days. And that's really something for Seattle.
I was going to say, isn't there like some kind of state mandate that it has to rain?
Exactly. It should.
More frequently than that?
You would think so, but our summers are usually pretty mild. They're really, really nice, and usually don't get above 75, and it's just beautiful, beautiful summers. We try to keep that a secret so more people won't move out here since, it's getting very overcrowded out here. But,
right.
But it is amazing. And, the winters hardly ever, ever get below 30 degrees. So it's pretty awesome here. If you can stand the gray, it's not really that we have a lot of rain out here. It's that sometimes we get like gray. Just the clouds are always, there. And except for, in the summertime, usually it's nice and sunny. But usually it's just gray. And that's why so many people, it's considered one of the highest suicide rates in the country is out here in Seattle. Just because of all the gray and gloom and everything. So it's but now today I think it's like 70 something degrees and it's nice cool breeze. It's really nice.
Now, do you guys get snow in the winter?
Sometimes, but not very often.
Okay.
When we do have a snowfall, all of a sudden everything shuts down. People panic.
Yeah.
That's funny. I have to say, when I first moved out here, I started laughing because it's like this little snowfall. And people were like, I gotta leave early. So people are like running out. I'm like, what is the big deal? And then I found out what the big deal is all the hills, everything out here, and no snow plows. Nobody prepares for winter out here. So when it does snow, the roads are horrible because they don't have like anything organized for some reason. I don't understand it. You would think that they would at least be on the ready when there's snow in the forecast. But one time, what usually took me only a half an hour to get home took me 6 hours. So
holy crap.
So now when it snows, I panic.
I bet.
I'm getting the hell out of here because that was a nightmare. And people abandoned their cars on the side of the road. And that was 1 year I finally almost made it home. And I mean, like I said, it took me 6 hours and I finally almost made it home. I got to the top of this hill and I got a little too over enthusiastic because I was about 3 blocks from home and I floored it because I wanted to get out of there quickly. And then I just kept doing donuts all the way down this hill until I hit a snowbank. And it was just like, whew, yeah, that was stupid. But yes. So now I am traumatized anytime it starts to snow. So, yeah. But other than that, it's usually very, very mild here. And I appreciate that very much. If we want snow, we can just go head up to the mountains and see snow and come back. So, and usually snow lasts up in the mountains sometimes until June or July. So, up at Mount Rainier, you can drive up there and there's still snow on the ground in July. But it's usually hard as a rock snow, but it's amazing. Yeah.
Very neat.
It's beautiful here.
Well, I've seen the pictures. I know it's beautiful up there.
Yes, I know. I post quite a few pictures all the time.
Just 1 or 2, yeah. It makes me drool. I'm like, I want to be there.
Someday you will. We'll get you out here. So, show you the sights of Washington State.
I'm sorry, I was reading the chat room. Hi, everybody. It's Wendy, and we had June Antoinette Nixon with our guest this evening, and Travis is on here. And she was talking about Seattle, Washington area.
Yes.
How it gets in the winter and how it is in the summer.
It is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So, other than that, so what would you like to talk about tonight?
Well, I don't know. I think we should
Brothels.
talk
I'm sorry. I have a strange form of Tourette's.
That's okay. That's all right.
On this particular show, I have a strange form of Tourette's. Brothels just, inexplicably comes out of my mouth. So, well, no, you finished an investigation recently, didn't you?
Yes, I did. I finished several investigations. I have to keep them all straight in my head. The last one we just did was this the last one? The Dominion? Is that the last one I was been on? Okay.
We went camping at a haunted campground.
Yes. I did go camping in a haunted campground. That was pretty awesome.
A haunted campground.
Well, it's actually an old hunting ground, and it was used by Native Americans back in probably the 1890s, around the turn of the century. And it's still considered a hunting ground. And I went with my friend Medea and her husband, and they go camping there a lot because he's a hunter. But this is non-hunting season right now. So I felt safe that I wouldn't get, killed. Stray bullets or arrows or something like that. I always think of those things.
Oh, it's haunted by angry Native American ghosts.
It is. But and then my friends Scott and Jennifer, they were there. They roughed it in a tent, and I stayed with Medea and her husband in the camper. So that was my version of camping.
I'm sorry, that sounds like a Tyler Perry movie waiting to happen.
It was.
Well, what was that? Golly, Stan and not Stan. The guys who versus evil.
Tucker and Dale. Tucker and Dale.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that movie. That's like one
of my
favorite movies.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, you I want to get into your investigations, but it's always funny to me. You say haunted house, and that always conjures up like the Gothic haunted house kind of thing. Multiple stories, multiple rooms, secret passageways, cobwebs, candelabras, all that stuff. But I had a friend who lived in a trailer park.
Just that one.
What?
Just that one friend?
Just that one. Well. Yes, just the one. You're on a roll tonight, aren't you?
I am on a roll.
I would say you need a Snickers, but I think you probably had one, which is why you're on a roll. No, but the trailer itself was haunted.
Mm-hmm.
And I always thought, and there actually is, there was a low budget film that was in the works called The Haunted Trailer.
I'm sure there was.
But in some ways it seems really cheesy and corny, but in other ways I always thought it actually, for a horror movie, could really intensify the claustrophobic feeling. Mm-hmm. When you're in such a small confined space, and you literally, it'd be really cheap to shoot too, because everything is line of sight. You stand in any point in that trailer and you see everything.
That's true.
But it was very weird. I actually spent a night there one night, and there were knocks on the door, and there was no one there. And the really bizarre thing was the sound of footsteps running above you, and it's not like there's another floor for there to be people. Just this very, very weird kind of thing. But it always amazes me when you start talking about haunted places. It doesn't have to be a Gothic mansion to be haunted, or this castle or estate. Any place can have that residual energy, even campgrounds.
Well, that is one thing that Ross always says when Ross Allison, who is the president of the Advanced Ghost Hunters of Seattle, Tacoma, that is one thing that he always says: just because a place is old doesn't mean it's haunted. Like, right. A lot of people will automatically look at an old house and say, I bet that's haunted. which, you know, a lot of times maybe it is, but it doesn't necessarily always mean that it's haunted. And we've gotten calls from people who have had weird experiences in, you know, their homes that were just built, you know, a few years ago.
Yep.
And it's like, not saying that there's something either on the land or something, you know, who knows? But yeah, definitely. But no, I can tell you a little bit about myself too, just, you know, if anybody wants to know. But
Please do.
I am vice president of the Advanced Ghost Hunters of Seattle, Tacoma. We do have open membership if anybody, you know, wants to think about joining us. But you do have to go through a very intense initiation. No, I'm just kidding. You don't.
Is there hazing going on, Jim?
Yeah. Just depends who you are.
Did you say huffing? Is there huffing?
Yeah.
Wait, is there's huffing going?
Hazing, yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Just kidding.
Sorry.
But anyway, just wanted to say who I was a little bit, so you kind of know. But no, we had we didn't really do an investigation. We just kind of stayed there, and some of us played Uno. And I left my recorder on, and we did get to see a little bit of the meteor shower before it all stopped over. So that was cool. But yeah, it gave me a little bit of an eerie feeling, but you know, I'm as psychic as a rock, so I don't really, you know, have any feelings when it comes to, you know, ghosts or anything like that. Medea did think she heard a couple of men talking a little bit, and there was nobody else around, and we were completely isolated. Yeah, it was a good, you know, with very spotty, you know, internet connection, so it was a really good, you know, scene for a horror movie. but yeah, it was pretty cool place. It's just the whole area, lots of wildlife around there. So I'm glad I slept in the camper.
Good choice.
Exactly.
My idea of camping / roughing it is a cabin.
Yes.
You know, in the mountains of Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg, that has a hot tub and full kitchen, and I might actually get a splinter if I walk barefoot. That is my idea of roughing it.
I agree completely. So I was just like, and it was pretty hot too. I think it was about 97 degrees out there. So I was like,
oh yeah.
And what percentage of humidity is that in Seattle?
Well, you know, it wasn't too humid at all. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, the humidity out here is not too bad in Washington.
Believe it or not, for as rainy as it is,
I was going to say, as rainy and as close to the ocean, you're telling me that it's not humid.
Yeah.
I don't believe you, June. I think you are full of caca.
Yeah, it's really not too humid out here. And besides where we were close to Ellensburg, which is more of a desert kind of area. That's mostly hot most of the time. So it's just one of those things where it's not really it doesn't get a lot of rain. All of Washington does not get a lot of rain. There's just certain parts. Seattle just happens to be in that part where we get a lot of rain.
There's more in the state of Washington besides Seattle. It's kind of like the state of Georgia. It's basically the airport. That's all there is in Georgia. And, you know, it's Atlanta Airport. That's it. There's the Atlanta Airport and then outlying portions of the Atlanta Airport.
Exactly.
So.
But it was pretty awesome. Like I said, I got to see the meteor shower. I didn't have any close encounters or anything. I was looking for UFOs too, just in case. But see any there of them either. But no, the investigation we had before that was on an old tugboat called the Dominion, and it's in Bremerton, Washington. Now, Bremerton, has naval bases, and it's very military, I guess, heavy, basically, you say. But it was, and what's really kind of cool, my great aunt and uncle, who passed away a while ago, during World War II, they lived in Bremerton, and my great uncle, helped design a lot of the battleships that were fought in World War II.
Oh, neat.
So yeah, he was out there in Bremerton for quite a while during the war, and So it was kind of cool. I was like looking at some of the retired old Navy ships that were in port from World War II, and thinking, I bet my great uncle helped work on some of those, but they're from Cameron, Missouri. So it was kind of cool that, just to think I was probably standing in some of the places that he stood. You never know. But Bremerton, the tugboat called the Dominion, was built in 1944, and it had so many different purposes. And it was really funny. I guess people through the ages have sent old pictures of the boat when they used to either ride on it, or a lot of sailors that used to sail on it. They would send some of their old memories and pictures, and there were a few pictures of Buddy Hackett on that had ridden on the boat. And I guess the ship that took him up to Alaska a few times.
Cool.
So it's really funny. You look and go, oh my God, that's Buddy Hackett. And yeah, you found out that he took a few trips to Alaska. So I think Buddy Hackett was even on the ship. And for a lot of people who don't know who Buddy Hackett is, you can look him up. You can Google him. I don't know how many people at work did not know who Buddy Hackett was. I was like, really? How many people who Buddy Hackett was if you're over the age of 40? I just don't get that. Anyway. But
Buddy Hackett, that was the Beverly Hillbillies, right?
Oh, I am going to drive to Kansas City.
No, it was the other guy then. It was there was another. There were two, and I couldn't remember. I'm sorry.
No, Buddy Hackett was. Oh my God, I'm trying. Well, okay. For the newer generations, he was the voice of the seagull in Little Mermaid.
Oh yes, that's right.
He was in the original Herbie with Dean Jones.
Herbie the Lovebug.
Herbie the Lovebug.
Okay.
He had a great one-man skit where he he did it with Johnny Carson, where he did I think it was a Puerto Rican.
I didn't see that.
Oh my God, it's hilarious, absolutely hilarious. He plays Ebenezer Scrooge in Scrooged in the Bill Murray movie Scrooged.
Okay.
He's yeah.
I tell you, I just get them confused sometimes. I know they're
Buddy Ebsen was in.
Oh my! I got my buddies mixed up again. Sorry about that.
Buddies mixed. Don't get your buddies mixed up.
Oh man.
Yeah, Buddy Hackett was. He was in a lot of shows too. He was. Did he make an appearance on Match Game a few times too? I was trying to think. It's like
probably he was. I mean, he was hilarious.
Squares. He was on Hollywood Squares quite a few times.
Hollywood Square, yeah. Yeah,
so
he was very
he did
funny.
Things in the 70s and 80s, a lot of things, or besides the 50s and 60s, but yeah, it's really funny. But anyway, I was like, I digress.
Yeah. There's no such thing as digression on this show. This is stream of consciousness radio.
Ooh, that'd be a good name.
Actually, that would be, wouldn't it?
It really would.
I mean, we may have to look at that.
We may.
Well, one of the things, if I can get Kim to actually come up with a name for our show that we're supposed to be doing pretty soon, then we may. Who knows?
We're patiently waiting. That's okay, June.
Stream of consciousnly radio.
Yes.
Conversations with Junebug.
That just doesn't sound very deep, though. Sounds like you're going to have conversations with a 4-year-old.
This old haunted whorehouse. There's
Let's show how we can fix this up.
We could go so many ways with this. I mean, the Kim and June show, the June and Kim show, the Jen show. Combine them. The Jen show.
Yeah,
the
Jim show.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was just strange. But no, I can tell you the investigation on the old tugboat went really it was really good. We spent the night on the boat. I guess we call it, since it's called a tugboat, I can go ahead and call it a boat. But
Probably, yeah.
yeah, I was like, I'm trying to think of the
Well,
right terminology.
well, no, I think you're right because tugboats pull ships.
Right.
So
That is true. So if it's a tug ship,
yeah, it doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't work very well. But I haven't gone through all of my footage yet. Still have a lot of audio footage and video footage to go through. But I can tell you some personal experiences. Well, for one thing, going down that /stairs/ladder was a little scary. But going down in the lower part of the boat, which I don't know what that is technically called, it's where the engine area kind of is. I don't know what was the engine or not because there was so many things down there.
The engine room. Okay.
Yes, okay, I'll just call it the engine room. But there were a lot of things around there, so it was a little daunting. Especially a lot of rusty things that were sticking out everywhere. Like,
I hate that.
Yeah, it was just like, I think I've had my tetanus shot. I'm good. I think I'm good. But
were you in the Viagra section of a nursing home?
not those things poking out.
Rusty.
The rustier thing poking out.
I watched the Robin Williams routine recently from live on Broadway where he did that whole routine. So,
oh my. So good.
Well, it was his anniversary of his death. I had to bring in something. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. I digress that time. Sorry.
That's okay. But yeah, it was very it was really interesting. And well, actually, okay, one of the first interesting things that happened, we were up in the little bridge area, and we were standing up there. It's a very small area up at the top. I would say maybe it's about 6 feet by 6 feet. I mean, maybe if that. And we were standing up there, and I had my K2 meter, and we had another meter side by side, and we were asking questions basically into the air, like, were you a crew member of this boat, and things like that. And all of a sudden we started getting hits on both meters. And it was just really interesting. It seemed like we were getting intelligent responses from that. So, I don't know if it was just kind of a fluke, but we would say things like, if that was you, would you do it again? And then it would do it again. So when I say hits, it's like going all the way up, making the lights light up on an EMF meter, which is an electromagnetic field meter, which kind of measures, the electromagnetic fields around and energy. So that was kind of interesting. We were getting some really strange hits there. And the other time was after the guys, they went to sleep and I stayed up all night. And so I did an EVP session by myself in one of the rooms, and all of a sudden I heard footsteps walking down towards me, and I thought it was Ross or Philemon who got up to come and check on me or something, which that would happen. No, Ross actually did get up and check on me and make sure I was okay. But
that's good. That's good.
This was a couple hours after this, but I heard footsteps very loudly walking down, and I was just waiting for one of them to come on down, and neither one of them were up. I went to go check. So there was a lot of water dripping, everything like this, but this sounded like footsteps. It was pretty loud. So I'm sure I got that recorded because, like I said, that was very loud. So kind of excited to go through everything, even though I haven't had time to go through anything. So I need to get that done, though, this week because we're going to be gone to Preston Castle next week. So,
woohoo!
So yes. All sorts of fun things. But yeah, it's a pretty amazing old tugboat. The owner is such a nice guy. He will tell you, he's just an open book. He loves to talk. He's usually standing outside in the boat, and he loves to talk with people go past the boat and start asking questions. He will answer any questions you want, and he'll stand there and talk to you probably for hours and hours. So he's a really, really nice guy. And that was an excellent opportunity we got. I hope we get to do it again, because I would like another chance to see if we can catch anything. But his experience, I can tell you his experience.
Okay.
He was down in the lower part of the boat when all of a sudden he saw a man dressed in old, a navy blues, or I guess we call it blues.
I think so.
The old from the 40s. It was completely, the whole one piece kind of outfit from the 40s with the little white hat.
Right.
And he saw this Navy man back in, and all of a sudden he kind of gasped, and he said that the apparition turned around and looked at him.
Oh.
And like it was surprised that he could see him. And then it ran towards him and went through him and disappeared. And he was so shaken up and so startled by this. It takes a lot for him to go downstairs anymore. He just doesn't do it. A lot of times he'll think or whatever, but it freaked him out quite a bit. So it's very interesting. And his mother and sister have also had a lot of experiences in there too. So yeah, it was a little shocking for him. So that's one of the things he asked us if we could, that's why he really would liked us to come in there. And also too, he would like a little more recognition for the boat, because they really want to get it fixed up too. But he's a really good, honest guy, and they're turning some of the main rooms in the tugboat as classrooms. And one of the big things he wants to do, which is really interesting, is he wants to bring women. He wants to bring women in to the classroom and teach them how to build model ships, like little
That's
models.
cool.
Yeah, it's really interesting. But women were not allowed on the ship.
That's bad luck.
Yeah, it was a big thing not to have women on the ship. So even though there were a few other movie stars, from what I hear, that were women too, that got to ride on it and being were passengers on it. So it was very interesting. But most of the time, regular women could not get on the ship. So they decided to do some classes that involve women, and but they also want to do marine biology classes and all sorts of other things. So it's going to be kind of cool once they get it all fixed up. But he's got a long way to go to fix it up.
Yep, looked like cool. It's in pretty rough shape there.
Yeah, it was. But it was amazing that we got to do that. So
absolutely.
But that is true. I mean, it was bad luck for women to be on a ship, but ships could be named after women.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
It was my grandmother had the most bizarre name that I had ever heard. But I always thought it was a horrible name for a person, but would make a great name for a boat or a ship.
What was that?
Her name was Almeda Vesta.
Ooh, is that one name or is that two?
Two names. Almeda, Almeda, was her first name. Vesta was her middle name. Vesta. Almeda Vesta.
Vesta. Was she what?
She was Scotch-Irish.
Oh, wow. Almeda.
I know.
That's really cool, though.
But it'd make a great... if I ever got rich enough to have a boat or a ship, I was going to name it the Almeda Vesta. I think it would just be it's a great name.
It is a great name. That would be an excellent name for a ship. I could see that very well. But yeah, that's kind of basically the whole gist of it. Like I said, I have not gone over all my footage yet of it.
How much footage do you have?
Let's see. I put down, 3 different audio recorders and let it go until it ran out. So maybe 8 hours on each recorder.
Okay.
That I have to go through. And then there is the cameras that I set up and let run until they ran out. So, I probably have, about 40 hours of everything that I put on. So, see, that's one of the things you have to remember when you're doing an investigation, that all of the equipment that you put out, you're going to have to put that time in to listen to everything. So you may only have a 4-hour investigation in some places, but if you put down 3 recorders and record the whole time, that's, you're going to have to have 12 hours just to listen to the audio. And
it's not like on the TV shows, right?
Yeah. Well, they have other people to listen for them now, since they're all such big stars.
Right.
I can't get, sometimes there are some people in the group that if you post it someplace and say, I don't have time to listen to this, can anybody go through it and listen to it? That's the good thing about being in a really, great group, because people will say, yes, I'll go through it and see what I can find. And you just better hope to God you didn't say anything bad about any of them.
Right.
Yes.
Man,
so
that guy
funny.
has gas tonight. Oops.
Yeah.
It's so funny. It's so funny you say that, June. My family, my parents, my brother, my sisters, we would record every Christmas growing up on VHS and camcorders and things like that. But inevitably, we would never be able to show anyone those Christmas videos because we would always talk about other family members.
Yes.
And talk about them badly.
Yes.
It's like, okay, well, this one just has to go filed away. This one goes in the trash.
Exactly. You're like, oh no, we cannot let anybody see this. Yeah, that kind of happened to me one time. I totally forgot, and I was talking to somebody, and we were both kind of saying some bad things about this other person who actually did something really, really crappy. So it's like they deserved it. I wasn't just talking crap about somebody.
Right.
But, I don't want to hear, how bad they So, like,
Vincent finds that humorous.
It's like, oh, crap. But,
right.
It was bad.
Whoopsie, yeah.
Oh, I can tell you one better, though. My friend and I, in my old group, there was this mother and son combo, and I was very, very, very good friends with the son. The mother was very hard to take, let's just say. She had this, she would not follow any direction, being in my old group with Northwest Paranormal Research Group. And she wouldn't take any criticism, she wouldn't follow any rules, nothing. So there were some times actually that we would think we were getting like footsteps walking above us, and find out it's her going, "Yoo-hoo, it's me!" Oh my God. Anyway, she was this horrible, annoying person, and she just would she would say some of the meanest things to people. And somebody okay? Are you okay, Wendy?
I dropped my mic.
Make sure you weren't
knocked it off my desk. Sorry about that.
But no, this woman was horrible, and it was really hilarious because my other friend and I, we were at Northern State Hospital like years ago, and it was raining really hard, and so we ducked into this one building, and my friend and his mother were there too, and so they kind of had gone off someplace to do some investigating, and we started talking about her, and not very nicely. And, because of something that she had did, or she had said something to one of our team members, telling him that he was useless. Because,
I'm remembering, yeah. She just was just a nasty piece of work.
Very, very nasty. So So we were like talking about her, how we were thinking how to get rid of her out of the team, and things like not killing her, but just getting her off the team.
Sure, June.
Pretty soon I see my friend come back and he's like, and he goes, I forgot I left my recorder in here.
Oh, crap.
Yeah. So I realized that, he picked up the recorder and he kind of walked over to this other building with it. And I was like, oh, shit, he's going to listen to this and, hear everything we said. So all of a sudden I decide, okay, I'm going to go over there. And I say, oh, Jay, I forgot my recorder. I said, do you mind if I use yours for just a second? I just want to do a quick EVP session. And so I borrowed it. And then I accidentally erased everything on it.
Oh, darn. I hate when that happens. I'm so clumsy.
Oh, my God. I just deleted it. I was like, oh. And then he's like, what? I thought I had more recorded on this. Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's not. But that's pretty underhanded. I couldn't believe I did that. But I was like, oh, I'd feel so awful if he heard the things I was saying about his mom. But they were all true, and he knew it. But, it's one of those things. That's why we're not friends today, because,
Yep, too much water under the bridge.
It's one of those things that my other friend would say when his mom passed away, it would be the difference between him throwing himself on the coffin. But when my other friend's mom passes away, it's going to be the result of him throwing himself in the coffin with her. Because,
Oh, yeah.
really bad. But, she used to call me so many names. It was just like, and what was really funny is my friend Todd and I had a radio show.
Mm-hmm.
And when, Todd and I were interviewing, like the Booth brothers and some of these other, names and all this stuff, it was really funny because all of a sudden she started telling everybody, because I just got my new car at that time.
Okay.
Well, at that time it was new.
Mm-hmm.
She started telling everybody that the radio show gave me this car for part of my salary.
Oh my gosh! Oh, I remember that. She thought you were making money hand over fist, and no, we were paying, or you were paying the subscription, and yeah.
Exactly, and it was hilarious. I was like, I wish I would got that car for free. It took me like how many years? $350 a month for.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, she was horrible. But anyway, I don't know what got me started on her. But the tape. But that was pretty funny. I had to think, okay, how can I get this away from him? And I was just going to steal it and go delete the tape. And I thought, and then just slowly put it back in his bag. Oh, there it is. But I thought, well, I got to do an EVP session. I can't find my recorder.
I hate when that happens.
So anyway, that's I semi-learned my lesson well with that, but I have to really watch that. I usually don't talk bad about anybody, but sometimes if somebody does something really crappy, sometimes I can't help myself. So still working on it.
Yeah, and sometimes you're just calming the offended person down too. I know that's.
Yep, I've had to do that quite.
Are you all talking about me again?
Yes.
Are you the offended person?
It takes a lot to offend me.
June, Shirley McCulloch is in the chat room, and she said, "Hi, June."
Hey, Shirley. I like your hair. Her new hair. It looks very nice on her.
Yes. Well, I've seen pictures anyway, so it looked like it's a very flattering picture.
Yes, very nice. So that was so let's see, when I'm digressing all over the place, what's some more things I can talk about? How would you, just more investigations, or what would you like? What would you like to hear?
Well, investigations are always informative and fun. And then maybe tell us, about some of the ghost tours that you guys are doing there in the greater Seattle area as well.
Well, I do help out at Spooked in Seattle, which, of course, you can kind of look up if you want to look up about the ghost tours at spookedinseattle.com. The ghost tours have been going on since 2004. Now, the last 5 years, they have had their own space, which is in Pioneer Square at 102 Cherry Street. And it is basically the heart of Pioneer Square, which is the oldest part of Seattle, basically. Well, not really the oldest part of Seattle, but Seattle is the oldest, but we won't get into those details. The city of Seattle has the Pioneer Square, which, it's a booming town. That area there is a little run down. It was really horrible in the 70s, of course, but they have done a lot of, is it gentrification is the word, or they have done a lot of fixing it up and bringing in new businesses there. So it's not as bad. There still is a very bad homeless population, especially when you're there late at night. It's a little scary, but yeah, we do ghost tours there all around Pioneer Square because it has such a really amazing, rich history around there, and a lot of really good ghost stories. You would be surprised at how young of a city Seattle is. Basically, kind of founded in the 1850s, and then of course it burnt to the ground in the 1890s. And, then they kind of rebuilt it in that time frame. But there are a lot of ghost stories here, a lot of really interesting ones. And Seattle was kind of a rough and tumble kind of city, in the 1890s, and especially around that area. But the ghost tours that go around Pioneer Square, they've got some great tour guides. They also offer some, especially if you're not a paranormal investigator, and you would like to do an investigation, we kind of try to give people a real experience. And some of them do have real experiences in some of these haunted locations. We have the University Heights investigation, which is an old schoolhouse, not a brothel. It's an old schoolhouse.
As far as we know.
Yeah.
Could be.
A lot of interesting stories about that place. We've got some really good EVPs in there in the past, so we can have people listen to the EVPs. And it's just there's also a story there that a little boy was just a holy terror to the teacher. Well, I guess she had enough of him. It was about 1909, 1910. She had enough of him, and she took him and locked him in a closet and forgot he was in there, I guess, over the weekend. And, of course, he died. That's the story.
Crap.
Damn.
We can't find any information to corroborate that story. But, like I said, who knows? It's the school board, who knows? But I just can't see any parents not, let's check the school. Yeah, I don't know. Unless he was such a horrible kid that, the parents didn't care. So I don't know. Or maybe he came from a really bad household and, that's why he was acting up so much. And the teacher just, locked him in the closet. So he's supposed to be one of the little apparitions that are running around the school. We have gotten several children's voices in there. People have reported children running up and down the hallways, laughing and giggling, which, there's a part of me that almost believes this and thinks that maybe when you die, maybe you can choose the age you want to be. And if your favorite time of all times was your school days in elementary school, maybe you want to go back to being a child again and playing in the schoolyard. I don't know. I don't have any answers at all, but it could be. But yeah, we do get quite a few stories of children running up and down the halls or child's voice. We have one EVP. It's clearly a child's voice that, says no. When we ask some question, I can't remember what it is, but it's clearly a child's voice. And there were no children on the investigation, so we do know that for a fact. So
very cool.
But
Wow.
but we offer, a public ghost hunt there. We offer a public ghost hunt on the USS Turner Joy, which is a retired naval battleship. Those are pretty awesome.
They're just right across the harbor from the tugboat, right?
Yep.
The Dominion?
Exactly. You could just see it right off you just stand there on the side of the boat and just look at the USS Turner Joy. So I got to spend the night there quite a few times. So it's incredible. That place is really amazing. I've had so many experiences on that ship, and I'm talking paranormal. We won't talk about the other experiences I've had on a Navy boat.
We won't do that. There's a question in the chat room: are you guys going up to Smith Tower these days?
We are actually for Spooked in Seattle has gotten exclusive rights to bring the tour through there, just to do the tour. Still working on doing an investigation there. It's one of those things where security and everything. It's a huge building, so I don't know. It would be really, really fun to do it. The Smith Tower used to be one of the tallest buildings in the world.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But that was back in I can't remember when it was considered one of the tallest buildings, at least in the United States. I'm sure in the world, too, at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But it's an old, let's see, I don't really know my history very well. I'm going to get slapped if I don't remember, but
we won't do it.
Was it made by the Smith Corona, the typewriters, the old typewriters?
Oh, right. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, he built this magnificent tower, and it just has a lot of history there. One of the stories was before it was built, it used to have this cabin there. I guess there was a Native Americans came and started killing some of the settlers that were around that area, and one of the settlers that was killed was a little boy, and somebody got a really good picture, and it looks like when you're looking through this old Smith Tower of a shadow of a little boy in there. When they were on the ghost tour, they were like taking pictures, and all of a sudden it just showed up on her phone. So that was kind of cool. So.
Wow, yeah.
But yeah, so many weird things have happened in that building. One thing is they have those old elevators that can only be operated. There's 2 of them, and they can only be operated by an elevator operator. There's something about a crank and something about, I don't know how it works, but somebody has to be in the elevator to operate it.
Interesting.
So, but they have had those elevators start up on their own and open on their own, and that's supposed to be impossible. So those are some of the stories. But
cool.
But it's a beautiful place. Google it to really look at it and see what a cool place it is. The inside is really beautiful. A lot of marble and the chandeliers, and just really, really cool. Very Art Deco too. A lot of style in there.
Neat. I would guess so. Yeah, with the marble and everything. So
yeah,
very, very neat. Carly is listening now, and she has a few moments. If we want to do some of your EVPs, and you can kind of give us the lead up, or whatever you want to do there.
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I've got AAA Wellington Put It Out, or Blue Moon Burger, different voice.
That one, at first, it's kind of hard to kind of hear at first, but I can give you the lead in. I don't like to tell what the EVP is because I don't want to front with anybody.
Okay.
basically that means if I tell you what this EVP says, that means that's all you're going to hear. So somebody else may hear something totally different, but for this, since it's a radio show, it's like, that's okay. I can give you the lead. This is Dia's EVP that she caught when we were at Wellington. They had a bonfire going a few years ago, and the bonfire flared up really big, and then you hear this little boy's voice. And why don't you play it first, and then I'll tell you. And then after that, I'll tell you, even though you kind of see what it was at the beginning, but people probably won't remember.
Carly, are you there? Okay, thank you. Would you play the Wellington one first for us? Okay, you might play it 2 or 3 times. Okay. Sure.
Oh, I forgot we can't hear it.
Right, I am so sorry. That's just, yeah.
But I can tell you that it's a little boy's voice, and with the earphones, you can hear it pretty well. It says, "Put it out." And all of a sudden, you can just hear, "Put it out," just like that.
I did hear it, and I sent it to Travis to hear. So,
yes. Yes.
I assume those of you in the chat room, did you hear the EVP? Okay.
Did they?
There's probably a bit of a delay. They're talking about a stuntman killed on Walking Dead today.
Oh.
Oh.
That's 2 stunt people this week.
Oh, you're kidding.
No. Well, one on Walking Dead, and then a stunt woman on filming of Deadpool 2 in Canada.
Oh, you're kidding.
No.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, she was killed in a motorcycle stunt.
Oh, no. That's so sad.
Oh, no. Do you know who it was, Travis? Or
I don't know the name. I haven't seen a name released yet.
Okay. All right. Well, if you want to do the setup for Blue Moon Burger.
Okay. Well, this was interesting, and this one's going to be really hard to hear, but you can hear a voice right there. I've heard people say different things, what they think it says. Mm-hmm. Somebody with very, very good earphones, with the Bose earphones, was listening to it, and they thought they heard it said, well, here, why don't she play it first? This is at Blue Moon Burger on Capitol Hill. I was by the deep fryers, talking about how hot the deep fryers were.
Okay.
And that we should probably warn other investigators, but then I'm like, I don't know. They'll probably know it's pretty hot, but, it's the deep fryers were still, really, really hot. And then you hear this other voice right by it, and I don't know if anybody can hear what they think it says. They're like really hot. It's just maybe we're probably going to get that for a little bit.
Carly, did you play it? Oh, sorry about that. Okay.
Sure.
Sure.
They're like really hot. It's just maybe we're probably going to get that for a little bit.
Okie dokie. Yes, you can.
But you can't really. Somebody said after I was talking about how hot it is, they said they heard, "You don't know what hot is."
Oh, wow. Okay.
I heard something that sounds kind of like hot is, but I don't know. It's very interesting. But this was at Blue Moon Burger. When I first went in there, I actually didn't really think that there was anything going on. A lot of things from their place had gone missing, and then they had found it later. Just weird things would all of a sudden disappear and then reappear someplace else. And then they had this video where they were showing everybody about the cash register. The bottom of the cash register flew out one time with nobody around it. But it was, people were, working at the time, and it freaked people out. You could see them on the security footage where they're like, what the hell did that happen? So, it was very interesting. So I was really surprised that I did catch something, which I don't know what it really says, but it's very interesting. Very interesting. But it's a cool place, and they have amazing burgers, that's for sure. I was like, oh,
that's what matters.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, goodness. Let's see. Next on the, there's a Brandy and a Marilyn asking something to knock louder.
Oh, okay. This was in Brandy's attic, actually.
Okay. And who is Brandy?
Well, it's an old antique store.
Okay.
In Tacoma, called Brandy's Attic. And we had an investigation there one night. This really isn't an EVP, but it's something really interesting. We had an investigation there one night, and all of a sudden we're hearing this loud knocking noise, and we can't figure out where it's coming from. And so Merlin, on the investigation, she says, if that's you, could you knock louder, or something like that? And it does knock louder. So it's really interesting to hear it. And then it just, after a while, it just disappears. So we have no idea where it came from. The whole place is brick. It's not like you can really knock loud. On brick, it's like you try to knock, it hurts.
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does.
We could not figure out where it was coming from. So it's very interesting. So if you want to play that, it's kind of cool. Thank you.
Can you bang something really loud?
Yeah, that one, the knocking on that one was pretty impressive from when I listened previously. It really does suck that we can't hear the
when it's happening on the show.
Exactly. But anyway, that was pretty interesting. Like I said, I have no idea, but we were the only ones in the building, and can't figure out where that came from. So it was pretty cool.
Very, very cool. Let me see. We've got Closed Mystic Moon is us.
Yes.
Let me see. EVP had asked if anyone was in the room, then commented or something.
This one was at an old teen center in Bellevue. The teen center used to be an old church. Some people said it used to be an old mortuary, funeral home. I don't know. I have not seen any records. I tried to do some research and couldn't find that, but I do know it used to be an old church. So they turned it into a teen center. Sadly, now it has been torn down, but lots and lots of paranormal experiences there by a lot of the staff that worked there at the teen center. It was pretty awesome. We had a lot of personal experiences here. But, this one, I was by myself, which in Ross's group, that's a major no-no. We don't go off anywhere by ourselves anymore. But in this group, I was by myself, and I was upstairs just doing an EVP session. And I started to whisper about something. I don't know what it was, but then I said, then I kind of said, oh, it's so hard for me to remember, or I'm sorry, I didn't mean to whisper. It's so hard for me. And so that's kind of what I said that. But before that, I said, is there anybody here that wants to talk to me? And then you hear this response. If you want to play that. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Guys, we really aren't just talking to disembodied voices. Well, it would be disembodied for you, but Carly mutes herself, and we can hear her in our your
Yes,
headphones and things.
our hearing.
Yeah, we're not talking to the ghost in charge of the studio.
Yes.
Oh yeah, maybe she is.
That's funny. But it says you can hear it pretty well. It's like probably if you're with headphones on, but it says because as soon as I said, is there anybody here that wants to say anything to me, and then I said, oh, then I whispered something, and then I went, oh, I forgot I'm not supposed to whisper. It's so hard for me, and then all of a sudden you hear nobody.
Oh well.
Yes. So it's like nobody is here that wants to talk to me. But yeah.
Shirley was asking if there were 11 knocks on the knocking one.
There were a lot more than 11. That was just kind of a snippet because it had been knocking a lot before that. And then when we asked it to knock, or when Berlin asked it to knock louder, then that's when it started knocking really loud. So with the louder knocks, it might have been 11. I don't know. But then I think there was even more than that. And then we just cut it off. So.
Ah, okay. Understandable.
There's a snippet. The snippet.
Okay. Moving on, I guess. The teen center, you had just left the room and said, and that's about all I've got on there.
Oh, I'm pretty sure this is the one. Okay, this one, it's a little soft, but I'm sure you can hear it because it's kind of a loud whisper. If this is hopefully the right one, not the same one with the nobody on there. But I had just said, I said, I need to get some coffee, and I left the room. And then that's when you hear this little voice. You hear it?
The voice you couldn't hear was Carly going, "Oh my God!"
Yeah, that was in an empty room, so I want it. Like, oh, okay. So somebody wanted some coffee, I think.
Obviously, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, we have impressed our studio coordinator here this evening.
At least with that one.
Yeah. Let's see. There's a Greenlee.
Oh man, what is that one?
I'm not sure.
Oh, maybe play it and maybe see if Carly can hear it.
Okay.
Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth so it's steady breathing. Did you die on this boat? Or did you know someone that died on this boat? No, shut off.
Surely heard I want.
I can't remember what that one is from though.
Okay.
Must have got on that. Oh, cool.
Okay, pretty darn creepy. Did any of you hear what they said in there, or in the chat room, rather? Our test audience.
Yes, exactly. Oh.
Oh well. Well,
Okay, cool. Why is it Greenlee on there? I can't remember. That's really sad. These are just some of the ones that we have. So like I was kind of grabbing a little faster than I should have.
Was it on the tugboat? And Greenlee was the one man who threw himself on the grenade? Maybe not. Maybe I'm thinking of a different story.
No, nothing like that on the tugboat.
Okay.
No. Huh. It was on. It was probably on the USS Turner Joy. I don't know.
Awesome. I don't know either.
What is the next one?
Well, we have a Lakeview Whisper.
Oh, yeah, that one. You should be able to hear it. It's a whisper, but you should be able to hear it because it was a loud whisper. This was at Lakeview Cemetery. My friend Amy and I were walking around Lakeview Cemetery, and I had my recorder going, and she had an EMF detector with her. And she kept getting these hits on the electromagnetic field detector. And she kept saying, I think somebody is following me. I think somebody's with me. And it's kind of creeping me out a little bit. She was getting kind of goosebumps and things like that. And, but it's just really weird because there aren't a lot of electrical things around the cemetery. Even though that's kind of in a busier area, everything, because in the background you're going to hear children playing. Those are actual children. There is like a daycare next door.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
When we were walking, we stopped at this one place, and I set the recorder down on a tombstone that the last name was Lawson, because that's actually my family name. So I thought, oh, that's really interesting. There's Lawsons out here too. And so I set it there, and then you hear this voice. Whispered voice. Okay, thank you. No. It could have, but we heard Walk With Me. You want to play it again just to...
Okay.
So yeah, that was pretty interesting.
Neat. Now, Lakeview Cemetery is in Seattle somewhere, or the area?
It is by Volunteer Park, close to Capitol Hill. It's where Bruce and Brandon Lee are buried. And most of Seattle's like founding fathers are also buried in that cemetery. Beautiful statues. That's where most of my photography is like that. When I see that it's going to be a foggy morning, I like make a beeline for that cemetery so I can take cool, spooky pictures. You know.
Yes, I've seen them. They are fantastic. Find June on Facebook. June Antoinette Nixon. Spooked in Seattle. A ghost.
Junebug. Brothels.
Yeah.
These are all the hashtags that we're giving June. Brothel. Brothel hunter. Brothel babe. Junebug.
I wouldn't mind being a brothel babe. Oh, Lord.
Yes.
But it is a beautiful cemetery if anybody wants to just look through. There's so many beautiful old statues and, I mean, really, really nice. Good, beautiful headstones and just a really nice place to walk around, too. It's got a really good walking trails. It's funny that you say that because when I was married, I lived in a town called Castlewood, and the subdivision that we lived in bumped up against a cemetery, and it was a rolling hill kind of cemetery. It wasn't flat, but it was scattered over several little hills, and they had these intersecting winding roads. And I honestly used to love going and jogging there. Yeah.
And it was a very peaceful, very comforting, very beautiful place to run. And I know it seems weird to run in a cemetery.
Oh, I bet
but It was. It was great. I loved it. It was very peaceful. I love going and visiting cemeteries just to think and contemplate.
Exactly. Yeah, if I had to go running somewhere, you'd have to be chasing me.
Well, okay. I'll tell you one of my favorite things that I used to do. There was a track that I would jog at too, and there used to be a lot of senior citizens that would walk the track, and I would run it. And I used to love going dressed in my dark gray sweatpants with a dark gray hoodie that I would pull up, and I would love running because I would just imagine that they would think that death was running up behind them trying to chase them down.
Oh my!
Shame on you.
As long as you weren't in a robe.
I know, but it was pretty bad. I would pull the hood up, and I would have the dark hood and the dark pants, and the only thing missing was the side. If I had just had that, I would be perfect.
Really great.
Perfect image.
That's like one of my old housemates that I used to live in a house in college, and one of my old housemates was a little interesting. He was a professional drag queen, but he had an obsession of nuns. I don't know what his obsession was, but he had a great aunt that was a nun, and he had pictures of nuns, and he had a nun costume that sometimes he would wear, just fun.
I have a priest costume.
Oh, well, that's a little better.
So, yeah.
I'm just saying.
But we used to live across the street from an old graveyard in Springfield, Missouri. In Springfield, Missouri, there's a lot of Civil War graves, everything else. So this cemetery was this beautiful old antebellum kind of. It had an old gazebo on it. It used to be a park. It was absolutely beautiful. But he used to dress up in his nun costume about 6 o'clock in the morning when the mist was kind of over the graveyard. And he used to love to paint his face a little white, and just go walking in the graveyard with his hands in a prayer like stance, and slowly walk through the graveyard. And then that's when we started hearing like cars slamming on their brakes.
That's hilarious.
It was just like, oh no.
I can imagine scaring the rednecks just damn near to death there.
Yeah, exactly. It is the redneck. Springfield, Missouri is home of the Bible Belt and the Ku Klux Klan.
Yes.
In Missouri.
It's a double wallop there, yep.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
So yes, it was very interesting that he used to do that. But it was a beautiful, beautiful cemetery. I just absolutely loved going through there. But yeah.
Meanwhile, back at the ranch.
Yeah.
How about the Stanwood Hotel and Saloon, the Sassy Girl one?
This was interesting, and I still have not figured this out.
Okay.
We had an investigation. It was an overnight investigation there. Stanwood Hotel and Saloon is in Stanwood, Washington. It was also built in the 1880s, 1890s, and Stanwood used to be a really booming town. One night, it's like we had this investigation, and Jay, who was our techie guy, he put the recorder in this piping tube to kind of keep all of the outside noise away. He was trying to do some experiments, things like this. Mm-hmm. And I was in there talking to this other woman, and all of a sudden you hear this like little girl, kind of sounds like she's yelling at us. And we were totally unaware that this was going on. But yeah, that's what it sounds like. So we have no idea. And there were no children anywhere close to that bar. There's no houses anywhere around in the town. Mm-hmm. So there was no child, there about 2 or 3 in the morning in Stanwood, Washington at that time. Thank you. Did you hear the little snotty girl? Yeah. I'm not sure if this was the one with all the kids or if this was the one, because we got several of them. I didn't think I had that EVP. I thought this was just the one with the little girl that started just yelling at us.
Well, wasn't there one with a little girl the kid that was talking about the brown lady, and we thought it might have been Medea, and
yeah, there was another one too, but I didn't think I had that one unless
I don't know. I didn't actually get to listen to that one, but because I was pretty sure I had heard it before.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know I heard it a million times. But yes, well, anyway, we have been the only group that has captured the sound of children in that Stanwood Hotel Saloon. Now, Stanwood Hotel was built to be a brothel. Yes, it was.
Well, of course it was.
Yeah.
Of course it was.
It was.
Every building built there was built to be a brothel.
Exactly, just about. But this was a brothel where the women lived. They didn't just go there and work. They actually lived there. So I'm pretty sure some of them probably got knocked up and had children there. There is a room that has like a little Bo Peep painted on the door.
Okay.
Some of the rooms have not been refinished yet. Maybe by now they have. I haven't been there in over a year, but there are some of the rooms have not been refinished yet. And one of the rooms had a little Bo Peep on the door, which I almost thought might be a nursery. Might have been a nursery.
Maybe. Might have been a fetish room.
Yeah, it could have been a little Bo Peep room. Looking for her
June, that's just bad.
You never know.
Shirley says there were several kids in that in the EVP.
Yes. Maybe that was the other one where they were talking about toys.
Might have been.
But if they were talking,
of course there were toys. It was a brothel.
Yes. No. This was like.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Little kids playing and.
We had brought some toys along for like a trigger object. Mm-hmm. And so we brought these toys along, and one of the EVPs we have, all of a sudden the little girl says, "Toys!" And she says it really, big, and then the little boy says something about, it's a very long EVP, and we cannot figure it out whatsoever. We did not hear any children at the time, and we got all these clear voices coming through. So it's definitely unexplainable. I can't explain it at all. But, it's very cool. If you ever make a trip there to Stanwood, it's a fun bar. You used to be able to eat peanuts and throw the shell on the floor. I don't think they do that anymore because they renovated it and makes it look nice now. So.
Too classy to just toss your shells.
But yeah,
don't be tossing your nuts around this place. I mean, it's high class now.
Exactly.
No longer a brothel.
No longer a brothel. Keep your nuts to yourself. Don't be tossing them around.
They fixed up some of the rooms that are really, really nice. I mean, just really small little rooms like that, but you can still have a flavor for the olden days.
The old world. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's a lot of stories there for paranormal activity. It's really, really cool. For me anyway, I think it's cool. For some people staying there, they might, not like that too. No, come on. Live a little.
Come on. Yeah. Okay, now we have one for the Savannah Cemetery. Strange voice.
Savannah Cemetery, and hopefully this is the right one. I was walking all by myself in the cemetery, and this is not too far from Stanwood. But this little cemetery is really, really cute. It's there's a little white church, and it's usually called the cemetery. Well, I think it's just called the Little White Church Cemetery or something like that. A lot of the
cute. Okay.
But it's, one of the little old fashioned church with the steeple, everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just really, really cute. But it's kind of small. And I was walking at this one area. I was all by myself. There was nobody at all even close to me. The others were on the other side of the cemetery, way far away on the other side of the church. So I was by myself. This is also the same place that we were at night, and there is a street light in the cemetery. So it kind of lights up everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm standing on, and probably because the street light's there because of the church. I'm sure they have weddings there and things like that. So I'm standing at the street light. I'm all by myself. The rest of the team is way on the other side of the church, and they're looking at something. So I'm by myself. All of a sudden, I hear loud footsteps running on the gravel up behind me. And the first thing I'm thinking of, there's some crazy person who's living in the graveyard and wanting to get revenge.
Yeah.
I don't know why they're wanting to get revenge, but this is because I watch all these scary movies. And I
like them.
Yes, I do. But I whirled around and there was nobody there. But it's kind of funny because a camera was set up to kind of cover the whole cemetery. And you can see me standing there and just whirling around really fast and looking behind me and then looking really puzzled. What just happened to me? But anyway, this is the cemetery. So I'm walking amongst the gravestones at the top in the back, and all of a sudden I hear this kind of strange voice, and I don't really know what it says. Mm-hmm. So maybe others can hear it and see. Yeah.
And there you have it.
Carly, do you have any idea what it might say? Or I have no idea. Somebody thought it said, when they were listening to it kind of slow, that it said something about happy birthday to me or something like that. And I was like, I didn't get that. I don't know. No, I haven't. That might be a good idea.
Might work.
Carly asked if we had tried playing it backwards.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's why I couldn't figure out what it says. So
maybe it said boo.
Yeah. It was a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm. That
might be weird. I might try to play it backwards and see what it says, because you never know. That would be kind of cool if it all of a sudden says "Kill June."
Yes.
Be like, oh crap! I'm glad I got out of there when I did. Oh my!
Too funny, right?
That's a beautiful cemetery. If anybody ever wants to go out there, it's really pretty.
I think I've seen pictures from there, and it was just a gorgeous little cemetery,
yeah.
Little old-fashioned cemetery.
And eagles flying everywhere too. It's just like, oh my gosh, way up in the pine trees out there. So it's beautiful.
Nice. All right. The last one I've got here is from the Walker Ames.
Is that all it says?
That's all it says.
Oh crap. Okay. Really, you have to tell me what was on it.
Did you hear that?
Is that downstairs?
No.
I gotta go back in.
It sounded like someone was crying. over.
Oh, okay, that's the beginning. And then the other two talk about. Did you hear that? Is that what that one was? Okay, yeah, that's what. Casey and Scarlett are two people on our team, and all of a sudden, that's when they thought they heard something, and they started recording it. And it sounds like at the very beginning, it sounds like a woman crying, which is very interesting. She heard it. And he thought she was talking about something else. He did not hear it, but that was really fascinating. The Walker Ames house, several people have talked about hearing a woman, crying and sobbing. That place, I have had so many different experiences there. We have, it's just one of those places that I can't tell you how many different groups have gone into that place to investigate it and how many different groups have gotten some amazing evidence there too. So it's definitely one of those places that has been investigated so many times. That's what I'm really, really hoping someday. I would like to have all the groups that have investigated the Walker Ames house to come together and start comparing their EVPs, everything else, and see how many we have that are almost exactly alike.
Can you give us a little background on the Walker Ames? A lot of the people haven't heard of it before.
Well, it's in Port Gamble, Washington, which is this adorable little town in Washington. It is an old lumber mill town. Anybody that lived in the town had to be working at the lumber mill. It's like that's all there is to it. So basically, if you quit the lumber mill, you could not live in the town. It was also taken over. A Native American tribe had been living there, and the lumber mill basically kicked them off their land.
Of course.
And they kind of went across the water. But one thing about the lumber mill, it sounds like that they did offer employment. Who knows how much they paid them, but it did offer employment to the Native Americans, that a lot of them that were kicked off the land. So I don't know if that compensated it or if they were basically slave labor. I have no idea how that worked back in those days. But the town is just adorable. They tried to make it look as much like a little eastern, like a town in Maine with little white picket fences everywhere. And it's so small that you blink and you're through it. But it's just a very cute, and they made it a very touristy, cute place now. They have some adorable shops, and they have this general store that has a lot of really cool old things in there, and they're also going to have a new restaurant open up pretty soon there, and a few other little restaurants, and it's just a very nice little area, like I said, with white fences, and then it overlooks the water, and it has this graveyard on top of the hill that's it's really beautiful. It's on top of the hill, and the sun sets there. It's just, it's gorgeous. But you can see the water in the background, the mountains, and it's very nice and peaceful. But the Walker Ames house was it's an old Victorian home. Unfortunately, it's completely, nobody can live in it because it's not brought up to code. Every house in that town is owned by the town. So you cannot own any of the houses. You can only rent. So
really?
Wow. Okay.
So it's one of these things where the Walker Ames house, it's going to take over $100,000 just to bring it up to code for someone to live in it or open a business there. And sadly, nobody has had plans to do that. But yeah, it's just this beautiful old house. It's empty inside. They do use it a lot for around Christmas times and make it like Santa's. For all the kids who come in and that's Wendy. Vincent Price is starting to laugh.
Yes.
But
Somebody messaging again.
I thought somebody really thinks that's funny that they're using it for Santa's headquarters.
Yes, he would.
Yes. But it's really cool because they, they put up like brick wallpaper and make it look like a little cozy, it's really cute. And Santa sits on this throne and all the kids line up and, but they have a lot of really fun things there, and the town is just really adorable. But anyway, anybody that was ever a manager lived in that house through the years since like 1886. So a lot of people had lived there with their families. So who knows how many people died in the house. There's also examples that there's, children who are spirits there. We got one time when we were in there, and I should have sent that to you too, but when we were in there one time, all of a sudden, one of the ladies asked, "Did you raise your children here?" And clear as day, you hear, with our own ears, we heard this. We heard a woman say, "Yes, I did." And she sounded like she had a little bit of a lilt, like an Irish lilt.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just really fascinating because we all heard it and we all were like, was that you? Who answered? That's really weird, but no, we all got it on our recorders too, so it was pretty awesome. But so this house has a big history, and I've had so many paranormal experiences in that house. From that's one of the places I saw my very first shadow person. In that house, about 4:30 in the afternoon, I looked over. I saw a shadow standing upright on the wall, and when I walked towards it, it flew towards me and disappeared. I thought it was another friend of mine who was actually talking in another room, and I was such a skeptic. I could not accept the fact that he told me that there was nobody standing in that hallway. So it was kind of funny because I kept trying to debunk it. I thought it was like a bird. It's actually a stained glass window, and it was not showing any clear shadows from the outside. But yeah, that place has amazing history. So if you ever want a little trip from Seattle, it's only, if you take the Kingston ferry from Kingston, it's only 20 minutes away. It's just a really cool place. And Port Townsend is about 3 hours, I think, from that. So really, really cool area.
Very cool.
Now, are these places like little Finger Lakes? I'm sorry, Travis, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yes, you did. You
really
love walking all over me, talking all over me.
Honestly, if I don't finish what I'm saying, I forget before you get back to me.
So do I. So do I. Go for it. Go for it.
I already asked it.
Your finger. What you didn't finish though? You said Finger Lakes something.
Finger. Are those like little finger islands where you have to take the water taxis to just about everything?
No, that's the San Juan Islands.
Oh, okay.
Port Gamble and Port Townsend are, after you take the ferry across the water, mm-hmm. You can also drive around, but it would take a long time to drive around and go that way. But yeah, you can take the ferry across. But San Juan Islands is where they're just islands that are connected, which are absolutely stunningly beautiful. That's one of those places that I love going out there.
Neat. Shirley is asking, what floor was the shadow on?
That was the second floor. It was in the little hallway that was right by the attic. And it was the hallway that connects the kind of foyer area to the bathroom. And then the attic is in between. But like I said, I would love to get all the groups together one of these days and talk about their experiences all together about the Walker Ames house and play some of the EVPs for each other and things like that, just to see and compare to see what everybody has. Because if I get the same voice as another group, that's going to totally throw out the notion that our minds are producing these EVPs. Because because a lot of people think that EVPs are a manifestation of your own thoughts and subconsciously. that you are manifesting these things on tape yourself. So if people start comparing EVPs from different places, that's going to throw that theory completely out of the water. You know,
Absolutely, yes.
in my opinion.
Right,
Now-
yeah. Share the love there, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, June, I have a question for you. As a paranormal investigator, what was your reaction? How did you respond the very first time you caught an EVP, and what was it? What was the first one, and how did you respond?
Oh, wow. What was my first EVP? I think my first EVP was the Nobody EVP. That was, I think, because that was from about 10 years ago, I think. I'm trying to think. I really can't remember what my first. I do remember that. I think that might have been my first EVP, because I know that I was trying to think how that could have happened when there was nobody else up. Just the shock, because like I said, I'm not a believer. I'm not one of these people that have easily believed these things my whole life. I don't. I'm not gullible enough to, look at some of these videos on, that people are sharing, or pictures, and people are sharing as they go, look, I caught a ghost. And, I'm like, if it's too good to be true, it usually is.
Right.
That's my philosophy. So in order for me to say and some of them may be real, but I wasn't there. I can't I can't collaborate or corroborate to say that, if I was there with them, I would probably maybe believe it. But, I'm sorry, if I wasn't there and I didn't see it, then usually it's hard for me to believe it, unless I know the person very well. So if Ross is like, on this, on his trip, and he comes back with an EVP or something like this, and I would believe him, because I trust him. And, any of my friends that said that, I would believe them and trust them. But most of the time, I don't believe a lot of things. And when people get kind of pissed off at me, because I tell them what I really think it is, Now the public, not so much. My friends, yes. But the public, like when I work at Spooked in Seattle and somebody shows me an orb picture of just, which usually is dust or moisture or a bug or something like that. And somebody will show me their picture and say, oh, my grandma died like the day before. And then we got this, this bright orb the next day. So I'm really sure that, this is probably my grandma coming to say goodbye. I'm not going to go, you're full of shit. I'm not going to say that.
Right.
That would be really mean. I'm going to say, well, it might be. You never know. That's really, really nice. That's a nice, sentiment for you. But for the most part, I have a hard time believing anything. So when I get something that I can't explain, I'm like, I feel so giddy. I can't even describe the feeling that I get. It's like, oh my God, I just caught something,
Mm-hmm.
It's like the picture, the thermal imaging picture that I had at the Walker Ames house. I heard something sounded like it was shuffling down the hall, and I fired off a couple pictures on the thermal imaging camera.
Mm-hmm.
And you can clearly see some strange looking figure on one picture. It looks like they're walking down the hall. And the next picture, nothing.
Right.
And I was the only one there at that time. People were in the basement and people were in the attic, and I was by myself, which I got a lecture about. I'm not supposed to be by myself. But, I caught that picture. So, that's like, how do you explain that?
Right.
And
I posted those pictures in the the Facebook event page, if anybody wants to go look at them.
yeah, it was very interesting. I just, like I said, there's some things I can't explain. Most things I can explain, or I don't know what they are, but I know they're not real.
I don't know for a fact. I just know it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like some of these these pictures of apparitions that look just like faded people and look like old photographs. I'm sorry. Those are too good to be true. They are usually fake. It's like, don't be so gullible to believe, these things. And, I'm sorry. You just can't convince me otherwise unless I took the picture myself, or, Ross took the picture, or one of my teammates took the picture, then I'd be like, oh, maybe there is something to this, but, I cannot seriously believe it. So hopefully I'll be proved wrong one day. So I'm not, totally closing my mind off on it, but, let's just say that.
I don't think we'll ever know definitively until
we die.
Exactly, yeah.
I hope so. I hope all this wasn't, for nothing.
Exactly, right.
I want to haunt the shit out of some people. I have a list. Of course, starting with, Chris Hemsworth's house. I think I might haunt that for a while. So hopefully he won't be,
Right, yeah.
I mean, if I died now, it'd be nice to, maybe in 80 years it would be.
Haunt his surfboard for a while or something, right?
Would I ever? Oh. Sorry, I'm now, digressing.
I think you took everybody with you, maybe even Travis.
I am here listening. I'm going, there's no such, I've told you, there is no such thing as digressing on this program.
Yeah.
It always comes back. We always come full circle. It's like, you really never get lost. All roads lead somewhere.
That's right. We occasionally bolt down one of those rabbit holes and find all kinds of fun places at the end.
Yeah. We do. We do not always, end up at our destination. our planned destination.
Our predetermined destination.
Well, one thing I hate is when I start talking and start telling a story, and then all of a sudden I totally forget where I'm going with the story. I've done that so much this last week. I don't know why. I've been really tired, but yeah, it's really sad.
Mercury in retrograde.
Oh, yes, that's true. That is true. I'm going to blame all my problems on that now.
Okay, I would. And do.
That's probably why my computer work has been so crappy lately.
Undoubtedly.
I blame all my problems on my Ford Mercury, too.
Do you? Oh.
I thought you drove an old Mercedes.
I do. A very old Mercedes as I pulled into my driveway tonight, I topped 314,000 miles.
Wow.
Congratulations.
That's an awesome car that lasts that long.
This car has seen some stuff.
Well, we won't talk about that.
Well, I did. Well, okay. Well, I didn't mean it hasn't seen that kind. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say the backseat of that we won't talk about. That Mercedes is if that could talk.
Yeah.
If the backseat could talk.
Oh Lord, won't you buy me a Mercedes Benz? That. Yeah, not this one. This Mercedes in the past year and a half, this Mercedes Benz has been hit 3 times. Not one time was I behind the wheel, and not one time was I anywhere near it. But it has been hit 3 times.
Where are you parking it, Travis?
It doesn't matter.
Oh no!
It doesn't matter.
Oh,
poor thing.
Maybe you need to kennel it. Maybe
you should paint over the target you have on there.
Yeah.
The first time was back last winter. Not this past winter, but like 2016. and it was parked at my parents', and my dad was working on it. He was doing some mechanic work on it, and it was in the middle of an ice storm. And my sister lives on the hill above my parents, and they had been up visiting her, and they were coming down her driveway, and they hit a patch of ice, and they slid into the front of my car. Aww. So they took out the front fender and the front headlight and knocked off the Mercedes emblem. The second time was a couple of months later, and I had my kids at a drive-in restaurant, and I was up ordering, and I hear this boom.
Oh.
And my kids are still in the car, and I look around, and this woman had just backed into the side of my car.
Oh my gosh!
And then I had stopped by to see my kids one Friday at their house, and had parked in the driveway and had gone in to see them. And my ex-wife, who's a college professor, had a bunch of students show up to visit, and then they all left. And I went out to my car to get in, and some drunk college student had just sideswiped. They had just backed out of the driveway and had just taken out the side the side mirror and the driver's door and the passenger driver's side door and my bumper.
Oh my God.
Dang.
I know. I'm like, oh well. So I was, anytime I park somewhere, they're like, don't hit the car. I don't care. It's been hit 3 times and I wasn't even behind the wheel. Haven't even.
Poor car.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. Anyway. Well, what have you got coming up, June? You and Ross are headed to Preston Castle. Is that correct?
Yes, we are headed to the Paracon there, which is the paranormal conference in Preston Castle, and it's actually a fundraiser for funds to help update or keep Preston Castle kind of standing. It used to be an old boys' school. It was an old troubled boys' school, and they were completely self-sufficient at this school. It was for boys. I think it was like 11 to 19 or 18, and I mean, did everything in this place, from gardening to butchering the animals to everything. And I guess there were quite a few children that had been killed there, and a lot of them died from disease. And there's a very famous one where she was, I think was she a maid, or I think she kind of helped run the house, and she was murdered there, and her body was found in a closet, like back in the 1930s or 40s. And so she's supposed to be one of the spirits that haunt there, along with some children and things like that. But they're having a paranormal conference there, and Ross is going to be speaking at it. And I'm just going to be there with the little, my pom-poms and
cheering him on.
You go ahead.
Well, at least he can't taunt you,
Yes, exactly. So while he's speaking, I'm going to go investigate.
Yay! Isn't there supposed to be a real nice little cemetery really close by there?
It is, I think, with most of the students that died there, and things like that. So it should be really, really cool to see. I'm very excited to see it. I've always wanted to see it, and then when they asked him to do that, like, I'm coming too.
so there. Yeah.
Yes. And then September we're going up to Philadelphia just for fun, but I'm sure I'm going to be going to a lot of haunted areas and cemeteries, and probably do some live feeds there too. And
Very
then
good.
October is just going to be our really busy month at Spooked, and going to help out as much as I can there. And then November, that's when we go to Europe.
Fantastic.
Iceland and all sorts of fun places. So yes, lots of fun things coming up.
Glad to hear it.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I should probably let Travis and Wendy get some sleep.
Oh, you can let Travis get some sleep. I rarely sleep these days, it seems like.
Well,
he's going to try.
I hope he can sleep.
He is getting ready to lay down, yes. It has been a long day, but June, it is always so much fun having you on the show. I give you hell, I know, but it is so much fun having you on the show.
You don't give me hell. You don't know what hell is.
Oh, yes, I do.
Yeah, you do.
Yes, I do.
Never mind. But thank you.
Yeah. But we will have you back on very soon to discuss more of your endeavors and your what's the word I'm looking for? It's not necessarily endeavors. It really is more of your misadventures, antics and misadventures. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I can tell you a lot of those too. I can go through all the, because I am a weirdo magnet. So hopefully a lot of my experiences, I'll just go back and read all my Facebook statuses.
You crack me up. Yeah, just don't share your chips with that one chick.
Yeah.
Exactly.
She took all my gum today. I asked her if she'd like to have some gum, and she poured out half the container of my gum and took it away. Anyway, after I tried to share chips with one of my coworkers, she took most of them and left me with only one. And today she took all my gum, almost all my gum. I was like, oh my God. And I just was like, okay.
It's just so not cool.
So now when I buy things, though, I usually get one for her.
You could get a mouse trap and set it inside.
It's true.
I love her dearly, but I would never, ever do that.
I know you wouldn't. I probably wouldn't either, but I'd really want to.
Yeah. Never would.
Now, Travis, on the other hand, he would do it.
No.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
I think he'd be very polite. I do. I really do. Deep down.
Deep down, he would do the right thing.
Exactly.
In a pinch, he would do the right thing.
After I was pinching you.
Yes, exactly.
Do the right thing.
Exactly, yeah. With the dogs on the other side.
Oh, right. Stop it. I will do the right thing, June. Damn it.
You have been shamed into behaving.
I know.
Well, you guys hopefully you'll get a good night's sleep, both of you.
Oh, yeah.
I still have a couple hours. It's only 8:00 here, so.
Oh, lucky you.
Well, it's only 10 here, and there's storms in the area. There were anyway. I hadn't checked the radar here recently, but.
Well, have fun with your storm. And thank you guys so much. I hope I didn't bore you too much.
Never.
Not even really. Thank you so much.
Have a great evening.
Good night. Thanks, Carly.
And thank you, Carly, for being producer.
Oh, cool.
All right, everybody. We will be back next Wednesday. I don't know the guest yet. Tonight the originally scheduled guest had to cancel due to some family problems. So, and June.
Maybe they may be next week's guest. Who knows?
Just never know. But anyway, we have several lined up for later in September at the very least, and it'll all be good. It'll all be real good.
Always.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
All right, then everybody have a great weekend. Go watch the solar eclipse on next Monday, my birthday, and
that's right. Yes.
and we'll be seeing you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night.
Thank you for joining us tonight. You've been listening to Mystic Moon Cafe. Join us every Wednesday from 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. On behalf of Wendy Schindler, this is Travis Short saying have a great rest of your week.